I'd like to welcome a panel of experts, starting with Advocate Anuja Kapoor. She's a senior lawyer, also the BJP spokesperson. Sita Sahu, the petitioner in the case, will be joining us very shortly. Irshad Hussain of the Empire Media panel also will be joining us. For now, from the Empire Media, we had Maj Md Ali Shah with us. Ravi Bhatt is a historian. He will also be live with us. Firoz Bhakt Ahmed, educationist, will be joining us very shortly as well. I'm going to start first of all with you, Maj Md Ali Shah. All eyes on the Supreme Court. End of the day, whatever the Apex Court decides, we all will abide by that. We just heard my colleague also, he's spoken to many of the devotees who had just visited the mosque at Gyanvapi. They say they will follow the Supreme Court's order. But what do you really think of the entire controversy? End of the day, we need to think of a consensus. We need to think of a way forward. We know, there is no doubt about that. If you look at the survey reports, there are Hindu relics, motives, etc., which have been found atop on the walls of the mosque. Whether, you know, inside of the mosque it's a shivling or a fountain, that is something which the courts eventually will decide. But overall, if you look at the structure of the mosque, there is no denying. The saffron imprint cannot be denied. What really is the way forward? What do you think needs to be done? Because we cannot deny the fact that there has been an infraction and that needs to be rectified. But how, according to you?
Meenakshi, a very good question by you, and through the means of your question, I would be able to answer a lot of minds who are having the similar questions in their mind. Now, firstly, we have to decide whether we have to look ahead or go in the past. And secondly, we have to coexist with each other. There has to be unity in diversity. There has to be a culture where we are called as Indians. Where we, in Nasik, in Devlali, the regiment I come from, artillery, we have the artillery center over there. On one square, Meenakshi, there is a mandir, a temple, there's a mosque, there's a gurdwara, and there's a church on the same square, and there's never been any kind of an issue any time. So, and no one goes and rakes up the matter, what is where. Now the question arises, I am not talking about a minor thing like, you know, okay, it's only one particular issue that we're talking about. No, I see a whole lot of issues cropping up hereafter, and then what? And firstly, I would like to tell everyone and tell my community, tell the other community, everyone, that irrespective of whatever the court ruling comes out, whether you may agree with it or you may disagree with it, irrespective, it should be respected. Plain and simple. There are no questions to be asked thereafter, whether you agree or disagree in your heart, because it is very important and pertinent to maintain law and order, maintain peace, and maintain the communal harmony. Unless we respect the other community, minority or majority, any, both communities have to mutually respect each other, and it should not be seen as a cricket match. The ruling of the court.
So we need to accept, fair enough sir, we need to accept really whatever the Supreme Court rules. We have of course Maj Md Ali Shah with us. He's also from the Empire Media panel. Major Shah, you're hearing each and every argument which is taking place in the court. Muslim side saying that the status quo has been altered. But is it justified? I think it's a very pertinent point which has been made by almost all the panelists, that both sides need to be sensitive. There needs to be a healing touch. That's exactly what the court is also saying. End of the day, if the Hindus believe, even if they suspect, and I'm not jumping onto, you know, a conclusion, I'm not jumping the gun saying that yes, it is a shivling, that of course remains in the domain of suspicion. We have to clarify that. But if the Hindu side as much as suspects that it is a shivling, is it okay for the Muslim side to argue that let us use it as a wuzu, let us wash our hands and feet at a place where there could be a possible shivling?
You know, Meenakshi, if I go to a temple, when I go to a temple, I often go, in fact. So I'm extra careful there in order to not to hurt the religious sentiments of the other community, because I may not be aware कि कैसे क्या करना है. For example, I went to Kamakhya temple in Guwahati. So a lot of people over there, yao, and I do not know whether they are scamming you or who's scamming you or what. There are scamsters even in Ajmer Dargah Sharif. So there are scamsters, but you tend to fall prey to them. You tend to listen to them more because you don't want to hurt anyone's religious sentiments. Now, as you rightly asked, would it be fair? No, it would not be fair. If you know that someone regards, worships something somewhere, it should be respected, irrespective of whichever community it is. Right? Now, having said that, I agree with the point which Advocate Anuja Kapoor said, that let's not polarize it, let's not communalize it. let's not let's not actually get communal with it. In fact, what Mr. Ahmed said, we should actually sit down amicably and it can be resolved. There is no problem in this world that cannot be resolved through communication, through mutual respect, through understanding. But court, let's see the writing on the wall. What will happen? Tarikh pe tarikh, it will keep getting, okay, sunwai aaj nahi to kal nahi to ab. No, that's what's going to happen. Ultimately, kya hoega? What is going to be happening ultimately, whoever the court gives a ruling against or for.
Okay.
Ultimately be seen as a cricket match, unfortunately.
So, for till the hearing go, polarization meanwhile needs to stop. That's a pertinent point you make. Major Shah, what will you say to those who are questioning the survey to begin with? There are concerns, of course, on both sides as well. But end of the day, you know, as we have been discussing, and the Supreme Court seems to have validated the same, even though we'd like to clarify it's not an order. That's something the Supreme Court said in the conversation with the petitioners, that the religious character of a place can be determined. What's wrong in that? Why is it that, you know, we have a side which is so opposed to opening the gates of the mosque, so opposed to even, you know, letting a basic investigation and inquiry take place into the mosque if there is nothing to hide? Why is it that, you know, there are some who are opposed to videography or the survey of the area? Major Maj Md Ali Shah, would you like to take that question, sir?
No, Meenakshi, God is everywhere. And religion is a very personal matter, and I'm sure Bhagwan Ram, whom we all revere, all of us, in fact, all the communities revere, would not be happy seeing that, you know, human beings are fighting on his name. He would not certainly want that, for sure. No religion would want that. So now, amicable settlement where you sit down, you resolve things out peacefully, you talk things out, you communicate, you respect each other's religious sentiments, and you move on with that. Instead of fighting and doing tutu meh, that is something which is uncalled for and does not go well with the secular fabric of our country completely. So yes, irrespective, as I had mentioned sometime before, the ruling came out,
okay,
before the hearing was there, that before the ruling comes out itself, we should actually maturely, as mature people, respect each other and understand and accept the court ruling, because it's going to be claim and then counterclaim, your voice versus their voice, your claim versus their claim, tutu meh, you versus them. So no one's going to back out from it. Only way is, we are no one to decide. You and I or anyone, the court is taking a decision and it has to be respected. There is no other way out. If there is any other way out, even if a person does not agree with the court settlement, well, the court's agreement, the court's decision, then what is the way out? There is no other way out. There is just no other way out. So one has to actually act very, very maturely, very, very sensitively, and that is the way forward only, Meenakshi.
Well, absolutely. I think that's a very constructive and positive, you know, point you're putting across.